I want to ask about Pope. I mean, he's always been one of my favorite characters. He's just so cranky all the time. But you know, my question, I think I've always asked this every year, is like, why does he stick around? He doesn't like what's happening. He doesn't want Tom running the show, and yet he's still there. And talk to me about Pope's journey this season.
Well, I think that to answer that question, I think that what's fascinating is Pope's there because Pope realizes, even though he does not want to admit it, that he actually needs them. And in a weird way, Tom needs Pope, and that's, I believe, why they hate each other. You know, they have much more in common than either of them are willing to admit. But I think that one of the things that's never felt real to Pope has been the consequences of this war. I mean, we need him when he's kind of he's going, good, I'm glad. Anarchy is the law now, and I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And you can almost tell even in the second episode of the first season that that's waning quickly. So by the third season, I think the consequences of what this means, what this world means, really hits him hard this season.
And he and Tom, do they have to kind of confront their differences a little more head on this season?
Oh yeah, and big time, and like I think you would see in other shows, then all of a sudden they're big buddies and stuff like that, and that doesn't happen.
We've got one more question, then we'll open it up for some questions from you guys. We have a little ER reunion now this season. Those Gloria Rubin's on the show. Talk to me how Gloria came to the show. Was that Noah's influence, or talk about her character a little bit, what we'll see this season?
I think ultimately Noah, it wasn't so much it was his influence, but it was certainly Noah, once her name came into the mix, felt very strongly that she would be really good. I think that the reason that she got attracted to the show, other than the fact that she's a big fan of the show and has always watched it, and same with Robert Sean Leonard too, had been watching the show and was a big fan and wanted to be involved. But I felt that the one thing that was missing a little in our mix was a strong woman of color, and I felt like we needed that kind of ingredient into the mix to kind of change things up. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't do stories about a strong woman of color. And Gloria was very good about coming in, I think, and fitting into our group. I mean, she sort of fit seamlessly into it. She felt like she'd been there from the beginning. And there's a lot that's going to be happening with her this season, not all of it good. And but at this stage, the sense that Tom has a guide and someone who can negotiate through the murky waters of trying to run a country, such as it is, was important.
Robert Sean Leonard, we all know from House and other projects.
He doesn't show up until the second
episode. And just tell us real quick about his character.
Yeah, well, I was just telling someone this morning that originally we've always had, like, we had Uncle Scott in the first season, and then we had Jamil in the second season, and they kind of were, one of their main functions was the guy that can create something or fix something or whatever, and both of those gentlemen were victims of the horrible alien invasion. And so we actually started out by wanting just something different and kind of funny. And we were kind of almost going for the, like, sort of Jeff Goldblum look. And so when Robert's name came up, it was like sort of like, well, I love him as an actor, but I wonder. And we had a meeting with him, and I realized he got it completely. And what he did for that character is he grounded it. Because we were kind of thinking, oh, here's a guy who's got flames out of here and talks weird stuff, and he actually, I think, made that character very real and fun.
All right. Any